During the 1990s, church members were known mostly for picketing the funerals of AIDS victims, and they have long been tracked as a hate group by the Montgomery, Alabama-based Southern Poverty Law Center's Intelligence Project. The project's deputy director, Heidi Birch, said other groups have tried to counter Phelps's message, but none has been organized as the Patriot Guard. Kentucky, which is the home to sprawling Fort Campbell along the Tennessee line, was among the first states to attempt to deal with Phelps legislatively. Its House Senate have each passed bills that would limit people from protesting within 300 feet of a funeral or memorial service. The Senate version would also keep protesters from being within earshot of grieving friends and family members, according to Fox News.
And now that we've showed you how Fred Phelps' actions are protected by the Constitution, we're going to give you a few examples of people who've done their part and stood out against his actions. The National Post wrote a story on someone who stood up against Phelps and sued him for his behavior. In March of 2006, the Phelps congregation protested the funeral of Lance Corporal Matthew Snyder, a fallen Marine from Iraq. Snyder's father was awarded $11 million by a Maryland jury, stating that Phelps' actions were emotionally detrimental, and the church's lawyer stated that the $11 million was almost enough to bankrupt them. Now, although some lawsuits have not been successful against the Phelps family, even a few that are successful helps prove that their behavior is wrong and helps promote other people to stand up against their actions. A second person who has worked against the Phelps family is the Shawnee County District Attorney, Joan Hamilton. She has made it her personal mission to stand against the Phelpses. Before she went into office, she promised that she would pursue the Phelps family for any criminal activity. Since 1993, she was the first politician to ever press charges against the Phelps family. Phelps continues to deny that he or any of his family members are crossing any boundaries of civility or decency. He doesn't deny that the intensity of his hatred for homosexuals is immoral. He says that God hates fags too. Obviously, Hamilton has done her part to get under Phelps' skin on one level or another. Hamilton directly herself has become a target for Phelps' hatred. Phelps has called Hamilton a depraved grub woman, a blubber-belly, satanic, cloven-hooved fat lady. He calls her a miserable tyrant, tells her that she's an evil woman in the lying genre of Jezebel, the wicked wife of King Israel of Ahab. In the summer of 1995, Hamilton finally won her first two convictions against the Phelps family. Phelps was convicted of 2 charges of disorderly conduct, and Benjamin Phelps, his grandson, was convicted of battery after spitting on a restaurateur.
Now that we have told you about what other people have done to get involved and stand up against the Phelps family, I will tell you about how you can get involved. All that you need is yourself and possibly a homemade sign if you wish. We all need to stand up literally against this cult-like church. People are doing it all over the world and all over the country. In the spring of 2009, I was involved in a counter-protest against the Phelps family, where tons of people held up signs and blocked them from view, and it was a really amazing thing to be a part of, with singing and dancing and just tons of love going around. It's something that you can be a part of too. Similar counter-protests are going on in many other places. According to the Chicago Maroon, over 100 students gathered on South University Avenue to demonstrate against 6 protesters from the Westboro Baptist Church on March 10, 2009. And an even bigger counter-protest took place in Missouri on November 25, 2010. According to the Kansas City Star, an estimated 2,000 to 3,000 people showed up from miles away to support a fallen soldier's funeral. They formed a huge barrier between the mourning family and the Phelps clan. If all these people are willing to use their bodies to shield families and people passing by, then you can do it too. It is easy and effective. We cannot give in to what they want, and that's attention. In conclusion, we have talked about the problem the Phelps family is causing, how they are protected by their First Amendment right, the people and groups getting involved, and our solution. So get involved, speak up, and stand up for what is right. At the counter protest that I was involved in, I was standing next to a boy that was part of the Phelps family, and it was extremely sad to see someone my exact age being so influenced by something that's so hateful. But the important thing to remember is that there were people surrounding him, telling him that God loved him, and that he loves us as well, and that we can be happy living, like, coexisting with each other. At one certain point during the protest, everybody broke out in "All You Need Is Love," and that was a really cool experience because everyone was unified and standing up against these really awful people. They had signs with like Obama and devil horns and God hates fags, and I mean the typical thing you would expect the Phelps family to have. But there was people with Congo drums, and pretty much you could not see the Phelps family from the street because everyone was just completely covering them and getting on people's shoulders to make sure that nobody could see them. And they actually had to be escorted out because there was so many people around them and they felt intimidated by it. And I think that's a thing that we need to realize, is that we outnumber them a lot. So if we just stand up and cover them and make them not be seen and not give them attention, then they will go away eventually.